Hey everybody, my name is Paul Leston Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for HeavyGoshdarn.com, baby. Welcome to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe before we go further. But we've got a new update on perhaps the most underrated thing with the Aaron Rodgers saga. Of course, the New York Jets and Green Bay Packers are still embattled in trade negotiations to try to figure out how he's going to get from point A to point B. We all know it's going to happen. It's just when it's going to happen. But the other nugget in all of this is who the hell is going to be the backup quarterback for the New York Jets if Aaron Rodgers comes in? Some people on social media have said, it's got to be Zach Wilson. He was the number 2 overall pick. Others say, no, Zach Wilson is a total boob. You can't keep him anywhere near the field. Well, there may be a path that he is the number 2 quarterback based on everything we're hearing. But before we get to that, first off, the new update is Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are now speaking since all this blew up, where the Jets said, hey, we're going after a veteran quarterback. And while they can't technically say Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers because of tampering reasons, we all know from the outside with the ESPN reports and everybody else, Pat McAfee, Trey Wingo, that the Jets are pursuing Aaron gosh darn Rodgers. And we haven't heard anything from Zach Wilson. And by the way, guys, as we're going through this show, the article is down below with all the juicy details. If you want to skip right ahead and feel free to read ahead in today's class, feel free. There's an article down below with all the details about Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers speaking. This comes from Brian Costello of the New York Post. He joined Josina Anderson on her podcast called The Crew. Here is the direct quote. I'll just get right to it. The Jets think Aaron Rodgers will be good for Zach Wilson. There's a relationship there. They've developed a friendship where they text back and forth. I've heard there have been some recent discussions between the two of them, which, by the way, is breaking news, quite frankly, because Zach Wilson has been completely inactive on social media. His last activity is back in November of 2022 when he retweeted something for his brother. His own generated tweet hasn't happened since September. Now, Zach Wilson has also said that he deletes social media apps and things of that nature during the season, but we've been firmly in the offseason and he said nothing. So we haven't heard anything from the Zach Wilson side or his camp. They've been pretty hush-hush about the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. But the fact that they're talking is very interesting. And according to Costello, they're talking, and he was talking about the great relationship between the two. Let's be honest, guys. It's awkward. Okay. Zach Wilson was the number 2 overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft, and he was heralded as the savior. 2 years in, the Jets are openly discussing that we're replacing your ass. We're going for a veteran quarterback, and that veteran quarterback ain't going to the bench. And now we know that it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, where that's definitely not the case. So the Jets have been so aggressive and upfront about it, but they were also aggressive and upfront about Zach Wilson, where the Jets use terms like, we will go through hell or high water with this guy. Zach Wilson said, I'm going to give whoever is the quarterback added to the room hell during practice. And now that's going to be Zach Wilson. Well, I'll tell you this, guys. Rich Cimini on his podcast about a week and a half ago, my Twitter was hacked, so I wasn't able to tweet out the juicy nugget, but he believes that Zach Wilson will, quote unquote, probably be the backup quarterback. Brian Costello went even further during this long episode with Josina Anderson with a couple of interesting quotes. I'll share them to you. I think the Jets are hoping that an offseason can help him clear his head, Zach Wilson, a little bit and get rid of some of the confidence issues that he had against Jacksonville. I don't know if that'll be accurate. The Jets are hoping that him, Aaron Rodgers, being the big brother, will help Zach develop. The lie detector test on the Jets says they're praying that Zach Wilson doesn't have to play this year. They're hoping he can play all spring while Aaron sits and watches. Wilson, will play all summer. You know Aaron is not going to be playing in preseason games, so Zach will play in all of those games. They, the coaching staff, will see if they can rebuild him. Bigger, faster, stronger. The $6 million man there. That's Brian Costello again on the Crew podcast. And a lot of people have said this, and Costello addressed this in the podcast, where fans say, well, Zach Wilson didn't show enough last year, where you're one injury away from Aaron Rodgers suddenly going out, and then you'd have to go to Zach Wilson. And fans have argued, well, we can't do that. Zach Wilson can't be thrown back in there. Then what are you suggesting, fans, that he goes to third string? I've heard some people potentially bring that up. Costello says that would destroy the confidence of Zach Wilson. If you're telling him not only are you not the starting quarterback, but you ain't even the backup quarterback. And Brian Costello believes that would destroy Zach Wilson's confidence, and he would be, quote unquote, never be able to return from that. The Jets believe, their hope, and I'm just gathering a lot of these nuggets from around, that Zach Wilson and Brian Costello used the Star Wars reference, frozen in carbonite for Han Solo, is what they're hoping with Zach Wilson. That a full offseason where he's not the guy, he's not the starter. Aaron Rodgers, when he comes in, will be the guy. And even though Zach Wilson may be getting a lot of reps because Aaron Rodgers is not going to be getting all of that as he's kind of just dabbling around, again, not playing in the preseason and things of that nature, that Zach Wilson could just kind of rebuild himself back up. There was a reason he was the number 2 overall pick anyway, and that he projects to be the backup quarterback. Again, I think it could have been really different. Right now, we'd be having a different conversation on a Sunday morning as I'm recording this and about to post it. If Derek Carr at 31, if Jimmy Garoppolo at 31 was the quarterback instead of Aaron Rodgers. Because if you're Zach Wilson at 23 years of age, you turn 24 in August, you say, yikes. Jimmy Garoppolo's coming in. Derek Carr's coming in. They're 31. They could be here for the next 4 or 5 years. I've only got 2 years left on my rookie contract plus the 5th-year option, which we can talk about in a second. But, that's all I got left. I'm done here. Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, who's 39 and will turn 40 during the season, has openly contemplated retirement. Now, fans, I'm sure, want Aaron Rodgers here for 2 or 3 years, but is he going to be? I don't know. I don't think anyone can answer that question, quite frankly. Not until Aaron Rodgers steps up to the Jets press conference and a media reporter asks him about that, and I don't even know if he would divulge that information. But I think Zach Wilson sees it this way. Aaron Rodgers is old as hell. He may be one and done here. My next chance could be in 2024. Number 2, Zach Wilson has openly admitted that Aaron Rodgers is his idol, a guy that he idolized, a guy that, quite frankly, he built a shrine for in his closet. I don't know if that's really true, but play with me here, that this is a guy that's so great, and by osmosis, me being in the same quarterback room, I can absorb all kinds of information. Now, does that guarantee that he's still going to be the franchise quarterback after Aaron Rodgers leaves? Absolutely not, obviously. But I'm going to be honest. I don't think the Jets are going to go out and get a Jacoby Brissett, who I know is already gone, but just to the point, I don't think they're going to go get some random veteran quarterback to be the guy. The Jets said through hell or high water, Zach Wilson is going to be the backup quarterback, folks. You just need to embrace that now, and hopefully a full offseason of rebuilding his confidence. And I still believe in the Zach Wilson talent, not anymore as the starter for 2023. Obviously, I've been pretty clear about that. But this is an opportunity for Zach Wilson to build himself back up. And hopefully, we're all hoping here, of course, that after Aaron Rodgers goes, whenever that is, that potentially Zach Wilson can be that guy. The Jets will have to make a decision already, which is crazy how fast time flies. We'll have to make a decision on his 5th-year option, not this upcoming May, next upcoming May, 2024 May. And maybe it's Jordan Love's situation, where even if Aaron Rodgers comes back for 2024, they accept the option because they like the development, they like the growth that they saw from Zach Wilson behind the scenes, and perhaps then they can buy another year down the road. Again, that's really a far conversation, but here is the latest. Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson are talking. We did not know that they were talking in the middle of all this trade drama. A lot of people, quite frankly, thought they weren't because it'd be awkward, but apparently they have, according to Brian Costello. Number 2, and pun intended, I suppose, here, is that Zach Wilson is likely going to be the number 2 quarterback for the New York Jets. The only 2 quarterbacks on the roster right now are Zach Wilson and Chris Streveler, and Zach Wilson projects to be QB2. Again, you guys can check out all the full details and the quotes, and shout out to the Crew Podcast for hosting Brian Costello. A lot of sexy nuggets in there. You guys can read more about them down below. Like the video, hit subscribe, and let us know what you think. Do you want Zach Wilson to be number 2? Because it doesn't sound like it's very realistic he's number 3, because you can't cut him, because it would cost you more to cut him than keep him. As Brian Costello said, he, quote, has no trade value, so you can't trade him. You can't cut him. And if you bring him to 3rd string, then you lose all the confidence, which is what you're trying to rebuild. It sounds like the Jets are, quite frankly, stuck with Zach Wilson at number 2. And stuck, you can either take that with a negative connotation or a positive connotation. The point of the matter is simply this. Zach Wilson will get an opportunity to grow and learn behind the scenes, and hopefully with a new coaching staff coming in, not Mike LaFleur, who apparently didn't treat him the proper way, as we heard from Steve Young on ESPN Radio. Perhaps this can be a new life for Zach Wilson. I'm sure he's hoping for it. The Jets are hoping for it. And it seems like Aaron Rodgers is cool having Zach Wilson in the quarterback room. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in here on a Sunday. We got more coming up on the channel. Make sure you guys check it out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.